Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith, hanging out today with Meredith Danluck, Michael Shannon. Brand new movie, State Like Sleep, coming out in early January. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Even better. Even better than you.
I'm better than you.
Yeah? Well, you guys should be feeling pretty good right now because your movie's awesome. I checked it out last night, and it just hits on a range of emotions. I mean, it's everything from grief to love to darkness to everything in between. So Meredith, let's start with you. I mean, this is a long time coming for you. So what was it like going from writing that script 5 years ago to finally seeing it all come together?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, making a movie, I think making a movie is such an incredible challenge, but you know, you get the right team together and the right actors.
This is a good guy to have.
And
performer, more performer.
Yeah,
like in the circus.
Yeah. Or like a kind of performance artist.
Like balancing a ball in my head.
Oh yeah, I've seen you do that. Yeah, he's actually really good at it.
Doesn't surprise me. Just in between takes, let me just get that going.
But it's a big ask, you know. You're like, oh, I'm going to ask people to sit down and give me 90, 120 minutes of their life, undivided attention, hopefully. And so a lot goes into making sure that that's hopefully going to be a worthwhile experience.
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite movies are, I think, really do consider the you know, it's almost like this word of like entertainment has become a bad word. Like entertainment is synonymous with like bad quality or something, or some. But I think that some of my favorite movies are the ones that kind of carry that kind of emotional depth in the architecture of something that is really entertaining, like, you know, real cinematic experience. And that was really important to me throughout the whole process, from the script level through the, you know, the pacing of the movie and you know, just the look and feel of it all together. Yeah,
definitely. And this movie is entertaining, and it's also enthralling just because you're hitting on that emotional depth. So, you know, with your character, Edward, I mean, he's in this interesting spot with this woman he's just meeting. He's also pretty witty, which I enjoyed. So what was it like playing that character?
Well, it's fun to be witty. It's not something I get to do much in my real life. So, yeah, when someone supplies me with the opportunity, I take the ball and I run with it. Hopefully I don't trip. Hopefully my shoes are tied. No, you know, I was saying earlier in another interview that I spend a lot of time in hotels because of what I do. I'm on the road a lot, and the hotel is its own particular kind of universe. It's a great place to set a story. You know, there's been a lot of great movies set in hotels, but I hadn't done one yet, so I appreciate having the opportunity to apply some of my own hotel melancholy to the story, because it really, you oftentimes when you're in these places have these kind of awakenings or these discoveries about yourself or your life, because you're kind of taking a pause from that in a way, and I just think that's very fertile, dramatic soil.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you have that line in the movie, love the one you're with, you know, and it's something that you may not necessarily think about in your everyday life, but it's a fascinating concept when you think about what's going on in his room and then in the room next door. It's a totally different experience, but these people come together at this really fascinating moment. So what was it like developing that story with those two strong characters?
Well, you know, it was interesting because for where the Catherine's character was, you know, she's very closed off. She's, you know, in the kind of the paralysis of grief, and not really able to accept any kind of love or intimacy into her life, and is making these decisions like going home with strangers for like kind of one-night stand, which turns into not a one-night stand.
Right, you're in the bathroom and you're like, okay, that's a new experience I didn't know about. We'll save that for you guys to go check out.
Yeah, a little detour on the side. But I think one of the reasons she's able to pursue a relationship with Edward is because he too is emotionally unavailable or seemingly emotionally unavailable. But between the two of them, because they both have these walls up, they are able to connect because they're mutual. She says to him, like, it can just be for tonight. It doesn't have to mean anything. And he says, who decides that? It's like, it's this idea of like, I'm safe with you because this means nothing. And then
what are the rules also?
But because of that, they're able to go to this new level of intimacy because there are no real consequences. So it's an interesting relationship.
Yeah, and your character has this interesting arc where there's no consequences, but you come into the picture late at this very critical moment where her mother is dying. So that must have been fascinating for you to kind of bounce between those two things.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of times in situations like that, a stranger or a relative stranger can be quite a consolation, that you can get this kind of unfiltered support or understanding because there is no conditions pre-existing. It's just a person who has empathy because they are a person like you are, and they can imagine what that must be like to go through, and so they give you something that's very pure based on the understanding that you hope all human beings have for one another's predicament.
So back in April, you guys got to show this at the Tribeca Film Festival. We're
Yes.
here in New York. It's obviously a big deal. So what was the biggest takeaway for you guys with that experience?
From Tribeca?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just, I think a festival premiere is so interesting because no one's seen the movie. I mean, Mike hadn't seen the movie, Catherine hadn't seen the movie. Basically it was just at that point, like, the producers, myself, and, people directly involved. So you don't know what people are going to think, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And like most things terrifying, it's also really exciting. So for me, it was just amazing to be in a room and feel the energy of the crowd, and people are laughing, people are crying, and like just to be in that room with that emotional arc going on.
Emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that was like, oh wow, like this is working. This people are feeling things, and that's amazing. So that was my big takeaway.
How about you, Michael?
Well, yeah, I was. It was interesting because a long time had transpired since we shot it, between when we shot it and when I saw it. So it's always a little jarring to. It's like, oh, I did that. Yeah, I faintly remember this. But it's also great because it's not so fresh that you're being critical or whatever. You're more just appreciating the fact that it's there and it's done and people can see it. Because sometimes, right when you're doing something and you look at it, you're more, critical of it. So, but it's a beautiful movie. I'm very proud to be a part of it.
Definitely. And you're a Brooklyn guy, so does the Tribeca Film Festival hold a little extra spot there, a little more special?
Well, I've had a number of films there over the years that have meant a lot to me. The first film I did with Jeff Nichols, Shotgun Stories, premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, and that was a huge event for Jeff and for me. And then Elvis and Nixon had its premiere at Tribeca, so I've got a lot of fond memories. Apparently, Robert De Niro's around somewhere. I haven't seen him there yet, but he has something to do with it.
Yeah, you saw him there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I went to some dinner there and met De Niro.
No way.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I said thank you for the festival, and it was I guess every year they do an artist dinner that actually is for visual artists. I don't know how, I come from an art background. I don't know how I got invited to this very, very fancy
But
dinner.
you were in there.
But I was there.
You saw De Niro, you're like, I'm going over.
It was, a small dinner.
Yeah.
And then But there was a whole bunch of people there. That was crazy. It was yeah, it was amazing. But what did I say to him? I just said thank you for the festival. Thank you for all your movies. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. Probably some more things.
No, amazing guy, amazing event. And, you know, we were talking off camera just about your work advice and your movies. When you guys think about the industry today, who are people that you both look at that inspire you still, or people that are just taking risks and you kind of want to follow suit? I'll start with you.
Oof. I mean, let's see. People that are inspiring today. One of my, you know, I went to the Sundance Directors Lab, and while I was there, had some really great advisors, one of whom was Catherine Bigelow, and another one was Joan Tewksbury. And both of them have been incredibly supportive and have had such interesting careers. You know, Joan is now, I think, 82 or 83. Wow. And still traveling all over the world and writing, and Catherine is making incredible movies and really pushing her own creativity and still, you know, like Point Break is one of my favorite all-time movies, and it was also one of the movies that I saw really early on and had to kind of read the director's credit a couple times to realize, like, oh, that was directed by a woman. You know, I think that now directors that are coming up that are in their, you know, like early 20s, like it's not as big of a thing to see, you know, women directing.
Back then it's a huge deal.
But yeah, like when I was a kid, like this was really unusual, and so to get to meet her and have her counsel even now has been really inspiring, and she's, you know, having someone at that level of their career taking someone else under their wing is, I think, really amazing, and I hope one day we'll do the same.
Yeah, no doubt. People can look at your story now and connect to that, and I think that's an awesome thing, you know? And Michael, people can look at your story and think about the body of your work, the consistency you've had in this business. So, you know, who are people that you look to?
How some redneck from Kentucky who used to play in the creek out behind his house catching crawdads can become an internationally famous
How'd you do it?
movie star. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Who do I look up to? Well, we were talking earlier about this movie Roma that Cuarón made, and I feel like I had the privilege to work with Guillermo del Toro, you know. So Cuarón and del Toro and Inarritu, they're like these three titans that all happen to be, I believe, from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's a good reason not to build the wall, I think. We want to keep them
coming,
migrating north.
Yeah. I see what you do.
Yeah.
Do you guys go back and look at your old work? Do you like to do that?
I have a channel on my television that's just
Michael Shannon?
Playing.
It's like, okay, Groundhog Day, Revolutionary Road, 8 Mile, just on a loop.
In all seriousness, though, my publicist told me that on my birthday this year, there was a TV station in India that played my movies all day long.
Your entire catalog?
Wow.
On my birthday.
August 7th.
Yeah.
I'll have to put that in my calendar for next year.
Yeah. Fly to India, get a hotel room.
How did you even find that out?
I don't know how they found that out. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when people check out the movie, I mean, there's obviously a ton to think about here, but what do you want people to walk away thinking?
You know, it's interesting because someone at the Q&A at the Tribeca screening asked the same thing. And I think that my response was something like, you know, like kind of how you're contextualizing the question, which is, in a movie there's so much to think about. That's like the kind of the experience of watching a movie, is that there's many layers of the emotional experience. But I think that I'm really interested in love, and if you think about the real takeaway from the movie, it's about being open to love, and I'll probably keep writing about love forever, because that's like the most interesting subject. And you know, I mean, even all of the old noir movies were actually love stories. I think it was, what was it, James M. Cain, wrote the Double Indemnity, said that the something like the law is never an interesting nemesis. I always write about love stories, and it's true. It's like it's the most powerful emotion, and it's the most interesting and nuanced and kind of infinitely compelling subject. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it can be the most complicated thing in people's lives too.
Absolutely,
so
and the most
layers.
relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has either experienced love or has the desire to experience love. So,
right, and
it's a very, it's a key to the human experience.
Yeah, key to the human heart.
Yeah,
that's for sure. How about you, Mike? What do you think about with this movie? A couple years removed from it, as it comes out pretty soon.
Well, I just think Catherine is such a fantastic actress, and I was so happy that she got this opportunity to get a part with so much depth and scope to it, and that I got to act alongside her in it. And I just hope that people really appreciate. She put a lot into it, and I think it's a heck of a performance. So.
Absolutely.
Oh, she was incredible.
It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely worth taking the time to check it out. Michael Shannon, Meredith Danluck. State Leg Sleep, you can check it out January 1 on VOD, January 4th in theaters. See you next time here on The Sit Down.